People of the internet, welcome to Modern Day Debate. Tonight we have Brenton Lengel crossing swords with Alex Stein, 99. For your enjoyment, they're going to be debating trans athletes in women's sports. So we have Brenton opening the floor for his 10-minute opening statement. Brenton, the floor is all yours at your first word.
Great. So before we start, though, I did want to say, so guys, I just funded my very first graphic novel ever. It is Snow White Zombie Apocalypse, my twice Ringo-nominated series. You'll see a bit from the cover behind me. You can still get it. So check out the link below if you want to pre-order the book. It is happening. We're fully funded, but if you want to jump on this train at the beginning, that's a good way to go. All right. So to begin, the topic tonight, should trans women compete in women's sports, is a topic that is surprisingly close to me. For though I am not trans myself, I am someone who for most of his life, the world has tried to place into one box or another. And always these are boxes that I simply do not fit. As such, I have an innate compassionate reaction when I see others try to force complicated human beings to lie down on the proverbial bed of Procrustes. Running in artistic circles, I tend to rub shoulders with trans folk more frequently than your average American. And whenever I do, I am frequently struck by the quiet courage, resilience, and dignity displayed by these individuals. But more so, I am also a lifelong athlete. Growing up from age 7 to 18, I was a competitive swimmer, participating in summer, winter, and high school leagues, in which I frequently set records, competed in zones, and won more blue ribbons, trophies, and plaques than I could count. I was captain of my high school swim team, and after aging out, I became a coach for 4 years, founding and managing a team for nearly 200 athletes, several of whom went on to have similar careers and even won college scholarships. I am also an Appalachian Trail 2,000 miler, which means I have traversed all 2,200 miles of the American wilderness from Maine to Georgia. I did this entirely on foot, carrying everything that I owned on my back, and I am a Shodan, a first-degree black belt in Kyokushin Karate, a uniquely brutal style of full-contact martial arts, which forms the basis of many famous kickboxers and MMA fighters, including Guy Metzger, Bas Rutten, and George St. Pierre. And also, and I think this is particularly cool, Ivan Drago himself, Dolph Lundgren. He's a Sandan, by the way. I have scored a knockout in international competition and competed in a 15-man kumite, which is 15 concurrent full-contact fights undertaken without rest or water in a row. So, it is safe to say that sports, athletics, and competition are things that I both know and care quite a bit about. And that is why I am so excited to have this dialogue. Trans women have likely been competing with cis women for as long as women's sports have existed. They have been competing openly since the mid-1970s and have officially distinguished themselves at the highest levels of collegiate, professional, and Olympian competition since 2004. Yet even now, 17 years later, with a multitude of scientific studies reaffirming the International Olympic Committee's decision to permit them to compete, and after having undergone 2 years of hormone replacement therapy, there are a number of, shall we say, busybody culture warriors who seem to have an issue with them being allowed to compete in a way that honors them, their competitors, and the sport. Now, under no circumstances do I mean to paint with a broad brush. Public opinion is always far behind the scientific consensus on a given issue, and we as a society have been raised to treat transgendered individuals with varying levels of suspicion, disgust, and even outright hatred, fear, and hostility. Trans women in particular have been vilified as both comical and untrustworthy by our movies and media for as long as movies and media have existed. And I remember in particular growing up in the 80s and 90s and seeing films like Ace Ventura and Silence of the Lambs, neither of which aged particularly well, to say the least. So if you are one of those people who simply feels a certain level of instinctual discomfort with the idea of men competing against women, know that there is a reason you are having that reaction. You have been primed to feel that way through no fault of your own. It doesn't mean you're Cracker Von Patriarch. It just means that you have something to learn. And the fact is, all of us do. To paraphrase Herodotus, call no man fully educated until he is dead. Because you, we will continue to learn and grow and change every second of our lives. And that is exactly how it should be. Concerns about creating an unfair competitive advantage is one of the most often cited reasons for resistance to the participation of transgendered athletes, and most often cited in discussions about competing on women's teams. Some people are concerned that allowing transgender women to compete on women's teams will take away opportunities from women, or that transgender women will have a competitive advantage. These concerns are usually based in three assumptions. One, that transgender women are not real women and therefore are not deserving of an equal competitive opportunity. Two, that being born with a male body automatically gives a transgender woman an unfair advantage when competing against non-transgender women. And three, that men might be tempted to pretend to be transgender in order to compete with women and win an easy victory. While understandable, none of these assumptions are very well founded. In the matter of the first, the scientific consensus is overwhelmingly clear on this issue by every objective measure, and regardless of determinations of their sexual expression, trans women are women. This is because sex and gender are distinct concepts. To quote Nature Journal, the single most prestigious scientific publication in the entire Western world, sex is a classification based on internal and external bodily characteristics, and gender is a social construct related to biological differences, but also rooted in culture, societal norms, and individual behavior. Whatever the cause, organizations such as the American Academy of Pediatrics advise physicians to treat people according to their preferred gender, regardless of appearance or genetics. The research and medical community now sees sex as more complex than male and female, and gender as a spectrum that includes transgender people and those who identify as neither male nor female. So to be clear, sex and gender are two different things, and women is a term relating to gender and not sex. Thus, scientifically, trans women are real women and should be treated as such, and thus are deserving of an equal competitive opportunity. Second, being born with a male body does not automatically give a transgendered woman an unfair advantage when competing against cis women, particularly not one who has undergone hormone replacement therapy for the requisite 2 years, to quote a systemic review of the data published in the New Zealand Journal of Sports Medicine. In conclusion, there is no direct or consistent research suggesting transgendered individuals have an athletic advantage at any stage of their transition, and therefore competitive sports policies that place restrictions on transgendered people need to be considered and potentially revised. Now, that may sound shocking to many of you who might not know much about sports, but the fact is this is not at all surprising if you're familiar with what hormone replacement therapy does to a person and have a solid understanding of sports and the philosophy of competition. HRT, which blocks testosterone and increases estrogen in trans women, leads to a marked decrease in muscle mass, an increase in weight, and saps your blood's ability to carry oxygen from the heart and lungs to your muscles, literally limiting your ability to engage in cardiovascular activity. So when transitioning, a trans woman loses much of her muscular advantage, puts on weight, and loses the ability to fuel her muscles with necessary oxygen to the degree that her body previously could. As an example, to prepare for this debate, I interviewed a competitive boulderer, a rock climber who prior to her transition ran marathons. Now, I've run a marathon. It is one of the single most difficult and grueling events you can ever put your body through. Prior to her transition, her VO2 max was in the top 5%. And keep in mind, while elite female runners and similar athletes have a higher VO2 level than most men, men tend to, on average, have a 20% higher level of VO2 than women. After her transition, her VO2 levels plummeted, putting her on par with the average female athlete. She went from running a 5K in 25 minutes to nearly doubling her time to 45 minutes. Quote, "I might as well have been power walking," she told me. "Once you're blocking testosterone and taking estrogen, you have to work twice as hard to be half as good." She got injured more easily, took longer to heal, and has been forced to rely almost entirely upon technique. Worst of all, her power ratio plummeted. As her weight increased and the muscle volume decreased, she lost a great deal of explosive power and now struggles to manage more than 10 consecutive pull-ups when before she could do 30 without difficulty. So to say it again, there is no direct or consistent research suggesting transgendered individuals have an athletic advantage at any stage of their transition. And if they did, surely we would see a near total domination of women's sports in the Olympics and similar events by trans women over the last 17 years. This has not happened, and so assumption number 2 is disproven. Now, finally, we have assumption number 3, and this is the idea that men will take advantage of these rules and pretend to be women to score an easy win. This is idiotic. One of the high schools I attended was in a small town. Now, I'm not that old, but I remember very well one of the other boys at my lunch table would frequently and loudly remark that if he were president, he'd round up all the gay people in the country, put them on an island, and blow them all to hell with a tactical nuclear strike. How do you think he would have reacted if I came in one day wearing a dress and telling everyone I was a woman? How many cis men would risk the kind of abuse trans women go through just to win a few medals or set a record. The data bears this out. To quote the NCAA's transgender handbook, in the entire 40-year history of sex verification procedures in international sports competitions, no single instance of such fraud has ever been revealed. Instead, rather than identifying men who are trying to fraudulently compete as women, sex verification tests have been misused to humiliate and unfairly exclude women with intersex conditions. This argument is so stupid, I genuinely have trouble believing anyone advances it in good faith. So there you have it. The 3 objections addressed and 3 objections disproven, beyond the shadow of a doubt. But just in case you're still not convinced that the playing field is level, I'm going to take this one step further. Because from a philosophy of sports perspective, none of this actually matters. We are missing the forest for the trees. The fact is that a truly even playing field is impossible. And if sports were just about bringing your own inborn advantages to bear in a perfectly controlled environment, no one would care about sports.
That's time.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Brenton, for your opening statement. And we'll kick it over to Alex for his 10-minute opening statement. The floor is all yours. Your first word. Oh, wait. You're muted. 1 second. And you're unmuted.
All right. I appreciate the...
You're roboting. 1 second.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you, but...
I'm roboting?
Still roboting.
What does that mean? Like my mic's messed up?
You sound like a Dalek.
Well, I don't know.
It might be a driver's issue. You can try talking quieter or maybe call in on, like, do you have an iPhone or something?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea why it's doing that.
It was working with... What did you do before?
Hello? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Still doing it.
Maybe reseat the microphone. Unplug it. Plug it back in.
That might work.
Let me see.
Yeah, this happened during my debate against noted egg enthusiast Stefan Molyneux. My partner had the same problem. It was a driver's issue. Like, he rebooted his computer right before the debate, and press F to pay respects to his
I feel like my cat might have peed on the microphone. I've been out of town. That might be it. Seriously, the audio...
Well, I'll let you know, folks, while he's trying to get...
Is it so bad on your end? Is it so bad there?
It's really bad. It's really, really bad.
Really? Okay.
That's getting better now. Wait.
You just started.
What did you do differently just now?
I didn't do anything differently. The people in my chat are saying it sounds fine.
It sounds good right now.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Just go.
You go with it right now, or we'll hope it stays.
Okay, well, we'll see. Hopefully it works. Looks like it's fine on my end. All right. Well, we started that as a very spirited beginning to the debate, which I appreciate that. But I guess we used an example. Brenton used an example of like one innocuous athlete that nobody's ever heard of, and how like they went from like 30 push-ups to like 0 push-ups or something weird like that. But let me just tell you something. An application that everybody knows about is a person named Leah Thomas, who swam on the men's team for 3 years and was ranked the 457th ranked swimmer. And then magically, after, this hormone replacement therapy that he talked about that evens the playing field, he went from the number 1 swimmer in the NCAA. Now, for me, I would say that that's highly unusual. That's weird that there's like, I guess, he was ranked behind 456 swimmers. So I think they would all, if there was 456 men swimmers, they were better than him. If they all transitioned their sex, then they would still be better than the top girl in the swimming championship. So when we really look at the idea of transgender women playing against actual biological women, the reason why we have a problem with it, because we have the same people that will say that transgender women can have a baby, which that's not possible because a transgender woman doesn't have a uterus. A transgender woman does not have ovaries. So it's impossible. So it's not the same. A transgender woman is not the same as a biological woman because they can't have a baby. And now we just look at like the simple, we have people like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to speak for him, but if you Google it, can men have babies? It will say yes. Why? Because women that transition to a man can have a baby. But see, in sports, we don't have a problem. There's no other applications that are similar to Leah Thomas, like the number 457th woman then transitioning her sex to a man and competing against the man. There's no application of that because that would be absurd because they don't have an advantage. Now, if you want to live in a clown world where you think women are stronger than men, or women have the same physical ability as men, then why is women's golf or men's golf, why is the tee closer in women's golf? Why is the WNBA much less competitive than the NBA? But I think it's very simple. because there is a competitive advantage. There is a different biological nature. You have people like Ketanji Brown Jackson, when they asked her to define a woman, she said, I can't do that. I'm not a biologist, insinuating that biology defines our gender or our sex. Now, he says our gender is a social construct, but if our gender was a social construct, why can't a transgender woman, somebody that's born a biological male that changes their sex to a female, why can't they have a baby? Why can't they have their period? Because they're not the same as a woman, and vice versa. That's why they say a man can have a baby, because trans women that change to a man have gotten pregnant. So just think about that. That is the idea that they're trying to indoctrinate our children with, or indoctrinate everybody with. And the reason why it's important is the reason why we play sports and the reason why we keep a score is because there are winners and losers. And in my mind, the reason why transgender women should not be able to compete against biological women is because I look at the women that spend every single day in the swimming pool, that finally every weekend, and then they finally get that college scholarship, and then they finally make it to the NCAA championship. And then guess what? They had to swim against somebody that was on the men's team for 3 years that never won anything. And then when they changed their gender to Leah Thomas, all of a sudden, they're not only an Ivy League champion, they're a national NCAA champion. They're actually the number one ranked swimmer in their competition. So for me, it's very simple when you look at Laurel Hardy, an Olympic athlete. Once again, this is a transgender woman who was born a biological male competing in the Olympics. Now you're going to say, oh, they don't have an advantage because they didn't place. Well, they got a disqualification because of their lift. I'm talking about Laurel Hardy in the Olympics because their lift wasn't appropriate according to the judges. Now, all I can say is somebody that lives their life based in reality, when you look at a biological woman and you look at a biological man, there are differences. Like I said, a biological woman has her period. A biological woman can have a baby. Now, Brenton mentioned intersex people. Now, there are a very small amount of people that are born with both genitals, either a female vagina and a penis or some sort of mutilated penis. And oftentimes the doctor at birth will give the parents the decision to decide their sex literally at birth, and they'll give them gender reassignment surgery at a very young age. As a matter of fact, that oftentimes happens. Now you're like, Alex, well, that's going to exclude them from competing. No. That's not the issue here. We're not having an issue with intersex born people competing against the women in the NCAA championship. The problem that we're having at the national level is men that swam on the men's team that are facing the women. So you have to look at Leah Thomas, who still has her male genitals, still has her testicles, and still has an ability to create more testosterone than the women. It doesn't matter how many hormone blockers or how many sort of hormone therapy medication they are on. They're still going to have an advantage because they're 6'5" and 215 pounds when no other girl that they're swimming against is even near their size. So like I said, the same person I'm debating will probably say that trans women can have a baby or that trans women can have their period. But we know that's impossible. So that's the reality that we're living in, that they want to capitulate and ruin the competitive nature of sports to appease less than 1% of the population. So for me, I played sports. I think sports are one of the most important things. It's about character building. It's about team building. It's about, helping your insecurities in life. Being a part of a team is very important. And you have people on Leah Thomas's team that complain that Leah Thomas would change in front of them and that, they were upset that they lost their spot in the Ivy League championship to Leah Thomas, but they were afraid to speak out because they didn't want to get, killed in the media. So what's happening in this day and age of social justice, it's actually anti-feminism. And me, I'm kind of a feminist. I love women. I think we should lift women up. We should put women on a pedestal and give them the type of support that we owe them. But to have a person that swam on the men's team for 3 years get to decide that they want to transition their sex and compete against the women, because they even said, Leah Thomas, in her Sports Illustrated article, that Leah Thomas identifies as a swimmer first. And for me, as an ex-athlete, I was willing to do anything in the world to win. And most athletes are. And for some, it's going as far as transitioning your sex in order to gain a competitive advantage. So that's the world we live in, where they're going to tell you that a biological male that transitions their sex has no advantage against women. Yet when we have the most famous example of it being Leah Thomas, who is number 457th ranked boy swimmer, became the number one female swimmer in less than a year. To me, that's about all the evidence I need to make this decision. So when we really look at this pragmatically and not emotionally and not based on some sort of progressive idealization of the future, I'm just looking at the applicable facts. Leah Thomas, nearly the 500th ranked swimmer, goes from the first, no gender surgery, no nothing other than hormone replacement therapy. That's not enough. She still had a huge advantage. She is a national champion. So we just need to wake up, because women and men are not the same. I can't have a baby. I can't get pregnant. But a biological woman can. I have a penis. A biological woman does not. So just these simple things as that prove that we are not the same, and that a trans woman can be trans, but biologically, they are still a man. Thank you. That's my time.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex. So we will go ahead and kick it into the open discussion in just a second. I just want to go ahead and let everybody know in the chat that if this is your first time at Modern Day Debates, that we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. We want you to feel welcome no matter what walk of life you're from. Like I said, feel welcome. If you like what you're hearing from either of our debaters, please, their links are in the description, whether you're listening on podcast or on YouTube. So check them out. I think Brenton has a graphic novel upcoming that is linked there as well. So you might want to check that out. I think you might want to take a second to mention that real quick. Do you want to take one second?
I did it at the beginning.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, did you start my time when I did that? Because I ran out of time on my opening statement.
I did, but I did also keep it running after you kept talking. So.
Okay, good.
Also want to say that if you love debates, if you're sick like we are, then please hit the subscribe button, like and share and subscribe these videos to show James that you love these videos so he can keep making them for you. And with that, we will go ahead and kick it into the open discussion for 60 minutes. Gentlemen, the floor is... Oh, wait a minute. One more thing. I do also want to say that if you have a question for tonight's debaters, please fire into the live chat and tag me at Modern Day Debate. The super chats will go to the top of the list, so they will get priority. But you can ask a question without sending a super chat. Oh, there's a timer going off. But please attack the argument and not the person. Insults will not be read, and that goes for the general discourse in the live chat as well. Our moderators work tirelessly to elevate the conversation, so please don't attack them either. Don't attack each other. Don't attack the debaters. Just attack the arguments and not each other. So again, with that, we will go ahead and kick it into the open discussion for 1 hour. Gentlemen, at your first word, the floor is yours.
So, Alex, I was listening to the opening statement. You mentioned that you did sports. What sports did you do?
I played college football.
Okay, so you played football, but not swimming.
No, I didn't swim. I played football.
Okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense, because a lot of what you said doesn't make sense in the context of swimming. So first off, Leah Thomas's overall rank isn't relevant here. What matters is that the rank that she has in the actual sport, in the actual event that she's competing in. So the 200-yard freestyle, the 500-yard freestyle, and the 1650 freestyle. So she was ranked 554th in the men's 200-yard freestyle. That's not like, that actually puts you up on par with like some of the most elite athletes in the world. You are talking about differences by like a millisecond. So that's not surprising. Then we go to this. She was ranked 65th in the country in the 500-yard freestyle, because she's not a sprinter, which is what
you're talking about as a man, though. You're talking about her man ranking when he was William Thomas.
This is her ranking competing in the men's division before she transitioned. So 65th in the entire country. And in the 1650-yard freestyle, she was ranked 32nd. So to say that she wasn't a champion before she transitioned just doesn't make any sense.
But she didn't. Wait, are you saying she won a championship as a man?
Probably. You
No,
can't get to that level without winning.
She never. Real quick, Brendan. Let's just get it clear.
Mm-hmm.
She never won an NCAA championship as a man, but she competed for 3 years. Can we get
hang
that?
on, but this wasn't an NCAA championship.
She swam. Real quick, Brendan. She swam for the University of Pennsylvania's team as a man for 3 years and never won a NCAA championship. Her first year swimming as a woman,
correct.
She did win an NCAA.
She didn't win an NCAA championship this time. That wasn't what happened. She won first place in 2 events: the 200
and the NCAA championships in those events. So she was an NCAA championship in those events in the women's competition, but in the men's
this because I might have missed.
Please confirm this. Yeah, you misread this because she is an NCAA champion. She is first place in the NCAA championships. She did compete for 3 years as a man and never won any championships. As a matter of fact, that's a fact, Brenton. So I want to get that.
Well,
that's not a debate. No, but real quick, but I want to get that. That's germane to this argument. I want you to understand.
Right. Okay.
I'm 100% right. Thank you. Say that again for the audience.
No, you're not 100% right. You are right that she was in the
right.
NCAA championships. But again, that's
she won first place in the Britain. She won first place in the highest competition in the NCAA. And
she did not.
You're telling me that the NCAA championship is not the highest thing that for as a college athlete, as a non-professional athlete. You're telling me the NCAA
the highest thing for a non-professional athlete.
Gentlemen.
Let me just say something. No, now we're arguing stuff that is factual. Listen. We can argue all day long. No. Listen. Let me just make this point.
The highest thing for an amateur athlete is the Olympics. People compete in it even before college.
Hold on. Do we just calm down for a second? Just take a breath. Okay. Okay.
He's trying to say no. I want to start. I just want to get this off. I want to get this first and foremost. So you're saying that the NCAA championships is not the highest competition for a college athlete. Let's say college athlete. It's not. You're saying, okay, only the Olympics. So Leah Thomas has not had a chance to swim in the Olympics yet. But I just want to say, for this germane to this argument, because you said that she's never won a championship, I just want this known. She never won a championship swimming as a boy. Yet her first year, she did win. I did not
say she didn't win a championship. I said she very likely won several. There's a bunch of different leagues.
I'm talking about at the end. Let's get this. I'm talking about the NCAA championships, Brenton. I'm not talking about some high school thing. I'm talking about NCAA championship. That is what we're going to talk about real quick. I'm going to use that as an example. Did Leah Thomas and when I say his as a man, did he ever win an NCAA championship? Yes or no?
So she, as a woman.
Well, I'm talking about as a boy, though. I'm not talking about as a woman.
I'm not sure whether she won.
It's no. If you're not sure,
but that's not the point.
She never. Yes, it is the point. The whole point is that does the trans athlete have an advantage from switching to competing against the women? And it's obvious, but it's not even worth arguing with you, Brent. If you can't even admit that Leah Thomas never won a championship as a boy and then did win an NCAA championship as a woman, if you can't even admit that, it's not even worth debating you because that's just facts. That's just facts. That's not hyperbole. That's not metaphor.
That you're correct.
No, I'm 100% correct. No. Let me just tell you something. No, let me say something because
you're so triggered right now.
No, I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered.
I'm gonna mute everybody.
Let me say this.
I'm gonna mute everybody.
I'm not triggered. I just want.
We're gonna mute everybody. Okay, hold on. I'm unmuting everybody now. Hold on, Alex. You're asking him a question to answer.
Yes.
Right. You want him to answer you. So let's just get him an answer real quick, and then you can grill him on his answer.
Let me ask the question.
Grill him on his answer, right?
I will.
Okay.
When he was William Thomas, did he ever win an NCAA championship? And then in the 3 years of swimming, and did she win an NCAA championship in her first year of swimming? Yes or no, Brenton?
So 2 things. One, like I said, I don't know. I need to look up the first question. But 2, no, she didn't because she didn't start her first year of swimming this last year. She's been swimming her entire life since she was about 6 years old. So no, she did not do it after 1 year. She had all of the experience.
1 year as a woman, Brenton. 1 year as a woman.
Let him finish.
Yeah, but he's not start from zero.
He's not answering. I know, but
1 second. It's 1 second. It's 1 second. Come on, just finish the answer, Brenton. Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that this is being phrased in a very disingenuous sort of way. And I don't think Alex is doing it on purpose. I think it's because he's listening to conservative media and letting the TV think for him. because, like, honestly, the fact of the matter
You don't
is,
even know. You're telling me the TV thing for you don't even know William Thomas's swimming career before she transitioned.
I mean, I was
so you
just
don't.
tell-
So you're
I was
speaking.
just telling
you have
William
no idea what you're
Thomas's
talking about. I'm just saying you have no idea what you're talking about because you don't even know that the advantage.
2-minute intervals.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you have no idea, Brenton. I mean, you're not based in reality because you don't even know the facts. You're trying to argue. You're trying to argue. You're trying to argue some sort of thing that's not proven yet. I'm trying to talk about provable stuff. We can argue and debate all day long, but I just want it because it's so germane to this argument. Leah Thomas never won a championship, NCAA championship, as a male, but Leah Thomas did win one in her first year swimming as a female. I just want that. Do you understand that? Yes or no, Brenton?
I understand what you're trying to say with that.
So you're saying that's not true? Google it right now. I don't even want to do the debate anymore.
Okay.
If you can't even admit that,
okay,
then you're not,
go run out of here.
We're gonna go to 2-minute intervals.
I'm not
Then
even
you do want to do the
Brent.
debate.
No, I want to do the debate. I want to do the
Guys,
debate. I'm just saying you're not based in reality. It's just
you guys. Here we go. Okay, so I'm muting you guys both. We're gonna go 2-minute intervals. You wanted Brent to answer a question, so I'm gonna give him the first interval. He's gonna give 2 minutes to talk uninterrupted. I'm going to mute you while he's talking. And then after he's done talking, I'll unmute you. And we'll go back and forth like that. And we'll just finish out the hour that way. Okay. Brenton, you have 2 minutes. We'll start in about... Hold on. Here we go. All right. I'm unmuting you now.
Hey, thank you. So to continue this, I was accused of not saying that, like, not using facts. Every single thing in my opening statement was fact cited. In fact, the only person who has done nothing but say pure opinion this entire time has been Alex. Now, as I said, when Thomas was competing as a man, ranked 554th in the men's 200-yard freestyle, which is huge. The shorter the distance, the better men tend to do about it, and the more competition, and the difference has come down to, like, tiny hundredths of a second sometimes. She was ranked 65th in the 500-yard freestyle and 32nd in the 1650 freestyle. This is really important. Men, and especially like powerful men with large, we tend to be really good at sprinting. My event was the 50-yard freestyle and the 100-yard freestyle. Men's advantages based upon their strength and their bodies actually decrease the longer you go. And Leah she is not a sprinter. She is a distance swimmer. So the fact that she won, for instance, at the NCAA championships, the 200-yard freestyle is not surprising. Not only that, but she's not the best in the world. She's not even the best in the country. She's the current best in the country is about 9 seconds faster than the time that she won the NCAA championships with, because Alex seems to think that the NCAA championships is this massive thing. It's big, it's awesome, but again, like the freaking Olympics, like people compete in the Olympics against adults when they are like 14 years old, 16 years old. So obviously this is the NCAA championships at the college level is well below the Olympics. And to stress this, Leah met all of the criteria put forth by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee.
Okay, that's time.
Okay, well, Brenton is obviously not a mathematician because he doesn't understand how you could go from the 500th ranked man to the #1 woman. So I'm debating somebody that doesn't even know how to do rankings. So the guys, go figure. You know, you'd have to be really smart to not be able to figure that one. So I'm dealing with a guy that is super smart, but he can't do a simple thing as being ranked the 500th woman in your event, 500th man in your event, and then you transition to a woman, you become the first in the NCAA championships. Yet Leah Thomas never won. You guys can fact check this all day. Leah Thomas never won any NCAA championships as a boy and swam on the team for 3 years. And then somehow the first year as a woman wins multiple events in the NCAA championship. So I guess that means that she doesn't have an advantage. Okay, you're right. Leah Thomas just won that on merit. She just swam. She was just so good. She just won, not because she had any physical advantage. You're 100% right, Ren. She won because trans athletes, you win the debate. You're in the debate. Leah Thomas didn't have an advantage. You're 100% right. All right, next.
Did I mute you? I didn't mute you.
Oh, I muted me. Sorry. So I can continue?
Yep. I'll reset your timer right now.
Okay. So this comes from Dr. Nick Groten, the American Board of Emergency Medicine, medical legal consultant, trans healthcare. Transgender student athletes fall within the spectrum of physical traits found in athletes of their transition gender, allowing them to compete fairly and equitably. And this is actually really important to understand when it comes to sports. And as I said, you know, at a rank 500 or 400 or whatever, when you're in a short rank, like when you're in like a 50 or 100 freestyle, it's a much shorter event and the time differences are very different. So if someone is having a particularly good day, they can beat the world champion sometimes, especially if the world champion is having a difficult day. She beat 2 Olympic silver medalists. Again, that's not surprising. That can happen. She didn't and again, she is not the fastest swimmer in the country. She is the fastest swimmer in the country is a cis woman. So yeah, she did really well. Great. I could say that also she probably does have a couple of advantages. One advantage, for instance, might be not necessarily her reach, but her lung size. Not because she can get oxygen to her blood, because it can't, because the VO2 levels have stopped it. But in fact, the reason that she's able to go a little bit faster is if you have large lungs, you're going to float a little bit better in the water. So again, trans athletes may have certain inborn physical advantages, just like every athlete does. A good example of this actually might be Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is like a freak of nature. His body literally does not produce enough, as much lactic acid as most people. So one of the big things about sports that, if this is something you care about. Mm-hmm. Oh, 10 seconds. I was just going to say, it's not just about what you can do,
this time.
It's about how quickly you can heal. And Michael Phelps will heal from the lactic acid, the burn in his muscles, 3/4 time faster than anybody else.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Well, I mean, how are we even still doing this debate?
Hold on, Alex. I'm not going to start your timer yet. Just keep talking until your robot stops.
Okay.
Keep talking.
Is it
okay? It's better now. I'm going to start your timer.
Okay. So basically, I mean, we just admitted that, men do have an advantage and that Leah Thomas, may have had an advantage. But the thing is, in sports, there's a thing called fairness. And so I just I played sports, I wanted to be fair. Like I said, like in the NCAA, there's academic requirements. They have to meet us.
You said you would do anything to win.
Well, hold on, Brenton. Brenton, hold on. It's his time.
Fairness.
Brenton, it's his time.
Well, first of all, I never said I wanted to cheat. No, don't call me a cheater. No, I actually respect sports. I've never cheated. I never took any steroids or anything. But that doesn't mean people don't do that. That doesn't mean people won't sacrifice their health, their long-term health, in order to win a championship, similar to what Leah Thomas did. So for you guys to say, like a male athlete would take steroids in baseball to become better, what Leah Thomas did is took some medicine to give her estrogen levels higher so she can compete against women. And it's very simple. When you go from the 450th ranked swimmer as a boy, never making to the NCAA championships, and then going to the NCAA championship in your first year and winning. And Leah Thomas may not be the best women's swimmer, but she is an NCAA champion as a female, and she never was as a male. So it's just very obvious that in that sport, that they did have an advantage, and you admitted that they have an advantage. And for me, that's why I think this is a big issue, because what's going to happen is Leah Thomas, there's going to be more men that decide to assign their gender. And we know Leah Thomas is still supposedly attracted to women and still has her male genitalia. So that says a lot about, did she make a permanent decision? No, at any moment, Leah Thomas could go back to William Thomas, because you can be gender fluid. Now, I get it. I kind of consider myself gender fluid. Sometimes I'm Alexandria, but that doesn't mean that I can go and just compete against the girls, because there is some sort of fairness in sport. There's a reason why there's regulations. And these regulations, you say, of the IOC, because she took some sort of hormone blockers, that doesn't negate the physical advantage that Leah Thomas has against biological women.
Thank you. Brenton?
Okay, so the really important thing to understand here is that when it comes to sports, no one is on an even playing field. It is never fair. And that's the point. That's why we like sports. If sports was just perfectly fair, two people getting together and winning based upon, what's important about sports is when you have different people coming from different walks of life with different abilities, and you put them in competition with each other, and we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if the swimmer who was incredibly poor for instance, and lived in a rural area and had to drive 2 hours every single day to compete to get to like an indoor swimming pool, if they're going to be able to beat the rich swimmer who's maybe not as physically gifted as they are, but has like a freaking swimming pool in their house. So it's never fair. And the idea that it should be fair is wrong and contrary to like everything about sports. What we do when we enforce like leagues and rules and regulations is to make this basically to allow people to compete in a way that honors them and makes the competition as stiff as possible. Now, will there still be people who are completely unfair? Absolutely. Again, I said Michael Phelps. This man, like, he is literally better biologically through no actions of his own than just about anybody that he runs into, because he's got unusually long arms, unusually large hands. He's got large feet, but shorter legs, which give him a swifter kick. And he's got a shorter torso. So what winds up happening is essentially he can beat absolutely everyone. And do we say, no, oh my God, take that away? It's not fair. No, we love Michael Phelps. We go crazy for him. He wins all of the Olympic medals and no one gets mad about it. The only reason people get mad about Leah is because she's a trans woman. And as Alex pointed out, he's afraid of them.
Thank you so much.
Well, I never said I'm afraid of trans people. I don't want to be called a trans woman. I love trans people. I love gay people. I don't care if you dress as a woman and you're born a boy. So don't say I'm not afraid of them. I have trans friends. To be honest with you, it's just very simple. I just like Brenton to answer this question. Can Leah Thomas have a baby, Brenton?
So I don't know where Leah Thomas is in terms of HRT, and I don't know what the condition of her womb may be. But this was another weird thing that I saw.
So you think Leah Thomas has a womb that can have a baby? You think that, Brenton? Are you being serious?
I don't know. I'm not privy to her medical
What do you mean
record.
You don't know? She was born a boy. Can a boy have a baby, Brenton?
Okay. So first off, yes. A man.
How can a man have a baby how can a man with a penis have a baby, Brent?
Yeah,
please answer
because
that.
About 1% of people are born with a certain level of gender fluidity sexual fluidity.
Zero men have ever had a baby in the history of mankind.
Not true.
You understand
there was like a 40-something-year-old cis man in England.
That is not true. That is not true.
He didn't birth a baby, but it turned out that he was in menopause.
He didn't birth a baby.
Yeah.
No man in the history of mankind has ever had a baby, and you can't even admit that, Brenton. That's how deft you are. Think about that.
Again,
I'm just answering the question.
You said you weren't going to do ad hominems. I'm hearing a lot of ad hominems here.
No, I'm just worried. I'm just worried because you think Leah Thomas, who's a biological male, can have a baby. I want to get that. I just want to get that clear. You think Leah Thomas with a penis?
Medical records.
But you think a person with a penis can have a baby? Do you think that, Brenton?
If they have if they're born with a functional womb, if they're born intersex, yes, they absolutely can. Now, again, it's probably pretty rare, but 1% of the population, and that's
less than 1% are born intersex. First of all,
that's 1% are born with some amount of intersection.
I know, but do you think Leah Thomas can have a baby? Yes,
I don't know. I'm not privy to her medical.
See, you won't even admit that, Brent. See, it's not even worth debating you because it's a simple thing.
Let's say that she can't. Let's say you're 100% right there. She absolutely cannot. Okay. Who gives a shit? Because right now we don't define women by whether or not they can have a baby. That's ridiculous. If we did, women who went through menopause would not be women. Is your mother? I assume your mother went through menopause. Is she a woman?
Yeah, my mother had a baby. That proves that she's a woman. A man can't have one. Yes, but I'm saying it's about how.
Okay. Hold on. I'm muting you guys again. Sorry. We're off the track as far as the 2 minutes. I don't know how that happened, but I'm going to unmute you guys again. Here we go. Brenton, I think that was Alex's time. And
it's my time. It's my time. What I'm saying is Brenton will not even admit.
Hold on. That was your time, but then you asked
that was my time. He just went off on 2 minutes.
No. It got messed up.
I don't even care. He won't even admit that a man with a penis can't have a baby. I mean, come on, give me a break.
You made your point. But it is now he's going to have his 2 minutes because you had your time. So we're going to go start off with that, and then we're going to go back to the 2 minute thing again. Okay, here we go. Let's go.
Okay. So again, this comes down to a major misunderstanding about the actual science behind sex and gender. The first thing that I need to point out is, as I said, 1%, and this is in Nature Journal again, most respected scientific journal in the Western world, 1% of people are born with some sort of sexual biological issues. And a decent number of them are actually born with an inability, like the doctors don't know, looking at their genitals, if they're men or women. So what they wind up doing is they go in and they go, this for the up until the 90s. And they say, I think this is probably a woman. Let's surgically alter this baby and they'll live their life as a woman. Now, as I said, this went up until the mid 90s. They realized this was happening and started to follow them. And when they followed a small cohort of these people who fell into that 1%, a number of them wound up identifying as the opposite gender than what the doctors had surgically given them as children. So I'm sorry, Mother Nature is a mad scientist, and she doesn't give a shit about any human ideas about gender. Gender is like what it is, the therefore you should within society. So the baby's born, pops out of the doctor looks and goes, that's a man or that's a woman. Therefore you should. And the rest of society, maybe not in so many words, tells people that this is your role in society. This is how you are supposed to behave. And that is what gender is. Sex is your biological makeup, and it exists on a spectrum. All humans are bimodal. And not only that, but actually all men are actually modified females. The body, like the body in the womb.
What about people born with defects? They're all bimodal.
Hold on.
Born paraplegics, they're all bimodal.
Your time is starting now.
Yes, the paraplegic would still be on a bimodal spectrum between male and female. So yes.
So people born with birth defects are bimodal, I'm sure.
I mean, everyone is
bimodal. Hold on. We're doing 2-minute intervals, guys. It's Alex's time. Go ahead.
No, hang on. He interrupted me. I need to finish my point here. The body is essentially female until hormones act on it in the womb. All men, 100% of us, Alex, myself, we are all modified females. We're very different, but like, if you ever wondered why men have nipples, that's why.
Okay.
So
there we go.
Again, there's a lot of weird shit that goes on in the world. Okay. And you need to actually look into the science of this rather than just going with common sense and what you feel in your gut, because what you're doing is it's feels over reals.
Okay. Let's go.
It's just very cute. I think it's really cute for somebody to say the science, and you can't even say that a double X is the same as an XY chromosome. So you don't even believe the science. It does matter because one has a penis and one has a vagina. I mean, I guess you never saw the movie Kindergarten Cop, but they literally said boys have penises, girls have vagina. You can't even define that. Like, you're not even based in reality, Brenton. You don't even think that there's a difference between male and female. So really, you're obviously a very smart person. You're so smart, you don't even know the difference between a boy and a girl. So sadly, I have to wake you up. I'm not a female. I have the male genitals. I have a penis. I have balls. That makes me different than a woman. Now, if I stuck my penis inside of a woman and I ejaculated and she had ovaries, I could get her pregnant. I guess you don't even believe in how pregnancy works. Now, do you believe that sperm impregnates an egg? I would like to know that. I mean, I think that's a very simple concept, that it takes a female egg in order to have a baby. So I guess my question is, does Leah Thomas have female eggs inside of her male balls?
If a woman is, I have a direct question for you, Alex, and you can answer this. If a woman is born infertile, is she a woman?
If she has a vagina, yes.
Okay, so it's not the ability to have a baby. It is the presence of a vagina, in your opinion. That is what makes someone a woman.
No. I'm saying there's obviously a caveat for people born with issues where they may not be able to get pregnant. But it's still the basis, the bottom basis. Because some women are born with birth defects or have some sort of defect. They may not be able to get pregnant. There could be they could have been something they could have had an issue, but that doesn't mean they're not a woman.
So please define what a woman is. You keep talking about it.
A woman has a vagina, and a woman can have her period. A woman has eggs inside of that are able to
that's not true
have a baby.
If they are, for instance, born infertile. There are women who are born infertile, and there's cis women, and they can't.
I know there's cis women, but they still have eggs. They still have eggs, and they have ovaries. A man does not have that same thing. Okay. There's a difference. There's a biological difference. Mm-hmm. Well, let's answer this question. Is a vagina and a penis the same thing, Brenton?
No. Why
Okay.
would you think I'd think that?
Well,
So,
because obviously you think a guy with a penis can become a girl magically. So that's why I would think
not
that.
magically, scientifically. Like we see
Not
this
scientific.
happen.
Well, can you go from a double X chromosome to an XY chromosome? Can you do that?
I got mute on this. It wouldn't matter because
I'm asking you,
there
can you
are
do that?
X men and
go?
XY women.
Can
Literally,
you transition?
it's very
I know,
rare.
but could
There are
you?
edge cases, but it happens.
Could you go? But could you transition? Could you change your chromosomes within your body?
No, you can't change your chromosomes.
Exactly. So then you
But
can't change your sex,
is not
bud.
determined solely by chromosomes.
Well,
Again,
listen,
this is
you
look
love
into
science.
science
It's just
on
funny that, you keep on saying science, yet you can't even define a biological man or a biological woman.
Well, that's
It's
because
sad.
a biological man and a biological woman do not exist. Men and
A
women
biological
are
man
gender.
and a biological woman do not exist.
Because what you're doing is you're lumping in biology with gender.
No, I'm using
They're not the
facts.
same thing.
I'm using facts, and you're getting crushed because you have this some sort of, you live in la la land. You're not based in reality, bud. You literally live in some
buddy.
weird convoluted world. Yeah, Brenton, you're not based in reality. If you think Leah Thomas, who went from the 450th ranked male to the #1 ranked woman in her swimming competition, the 200 meter, you don't think that they had an advantage. You're not based in reality, bud.
Again, it's very easy to go from the 450th ranked whatever and win a major competition. The rankings are incredibly close. We're talking about fractions of a second. We're talking about the difference between this and that. That is the difference between the first and the 457th whatever. Like,
yes,
that's again.
Leah,
that is
just answer this. And why didn't Leah Thomas ever make it to the NCAA championships as a boy, but then did in her first year as a girl?
I don't know. Probably because she got to that point in her career where everything was kind of working in the right way. So it takes.
Yeah, because she started to compete against lesser competition. That's what works in the right way.
Competition again.
Yes, it is. Okay, is the #1 ranked male swimmer better than the #1 ranked female swimmer?
Yes.
There you go.
There you go. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second.
I know.
Hold on a second.
There you go. That's all you need to know.
Hold on a
And
second.
at
I want to let everybody in the chat know.
At any point during this, did I ever claim? In fact, I claimed in my opening that in fact
I need to let the chat know something. Hold on. Everybody, we have a lot of questions that have come in so far tonight. I need to let you guys know. I'm gonna give you guys a warning now. There are so many questions that I don't know that we're going to be able to get to all of them. We're going to power through and be very quick and pithy in the Q&A section to get through all the ones we've gotten in so far. But if you send any more in now, I'm not going to guarantee you that we're going to get through all of them. So I'm just letting you know that I'm not going to ask James to refund any more that come in after this point. So if you send any more after this point in, that's on you. So I'm just letting you guys all know that now. So gentlemen, do you guys want to keep having this open discussion as we're doing it right now? Can we try to keep it a little bit more civil and just not do the timer anymore? Because it's annoying to me too.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be uncivil. I mean, listen, I don't have anything personally wrong with Brenton. Like I said, I know ad hominem attacks. I'm not trying to attack you, Brenton. I'm just saying, and the only reason I'm getting upset or getting triggered, as you would say, is that you are trying to say that Leah Thomas never, or excuse me, you're trying to say Leah Thomas was an instant. No, I want to get this clear.
I never said that.
It's not about the arguments. It's about talking over each other. It's about the quality of the conversation for the audience.
Okay, but for me, this is why I keep on saying it's so germane. Leah Thomas, and this is the only application, I'm just using Leah Thomas as the example. I just want this noted. Never won an NCAA championship as a boy, and he did, and this is William, swam on the female team, on the male team for 3 years. And then in her first year of competition on the female team, did make it to the NCAA championship and did win multiple events. I just want that.
You don't think competing for 3 years straight at the college level and competing for her entire life all the way up to that didn't lead up into her victory, which wasn't even the fastest time in the country. So it wouldn't even really matter if she did have an advantage. She is not the best swimmer in the country. She is among the best. She is an elite athlete again, but you're making a much bigger deal out of her win than it really is. And it's because you have been conditioned to feel this way by busybody culture warriors, because it is big business and big money to essentially cause hatred to that's like the entire
wait, first of all, you keep on saying I hate trans people. I hate Leah Thomas. You said earlier that I'm scared of trans people. I'm not scared or have any hate. Are you kidding? I have trans friends. I literally do. I mean, the fact that you think I'm scared of a trans person, scared of what? No, what I'm trying to do is I'm a feminist. I want to protect women. I just think a woman that competed her whole life and made it to the NCAA championship shouldn't have to lose to a person that swam on the men's team for 3 years. Now, you call that fear. I think that's just being based in reality.
I think that is you being based in what you see as common sense, but it's also you being very ignorant about this. Now, I want to say right here with ad hominem.
Wait, real quick. How am I being ignorant to that? How is that being ignorant? Not being able to see that there's a huge difference from going from the 457th ranked to the first. That's not ignorant.
Because
that's math. That's simple math.
I've explained this 4 times.
She swam for 3 years and she never won. Yeah. I know she never won. Yeah, you're talking about a small difference, but she made a huge leap. She went from never winning an NCAA championship to winning. So it is an advantage.
Oh my God, that's not that hard.
That's not that hard. Then why didn't those other girls beat her? They didn't because they didn't have the same advantage. They're not physically as strong as
her in the other event she swam in that day.
What I'm saying is it's not fair for biological men to be able to switch over. Just because every biological man is not as good as the best woman doesn't mean that he doesn't have an advantage over the majority because it's just a simple mathematical equation from the 500 to 1.
You want sports divided by biology, correct? That's what you want. You want only
sports have always been divided by that.
No, that's impossible because we didn't have the science of biology back in the ancient Greek times when the Olympics started.
First of all, men competed against men, women competed against women. That's not crazy. There's a reason why they've done that since the beginning of time, because of fairness. You don't want sports to be fair. In your own argument, you said, "Oh, well, sports aren't fair." For me, I think fairness does matter. So that's just where we're going to have to agree to disagree. I think fairness does matter, and that we should do every single thing we can to make the playing field fair. I do think that's important.
So let me explain to you very quickly what an ad hominem argument is, because you keep saying you don't do it, and then you just literally did it. An ad hominem argument is not an ad hominem argument is not when you insult someone. An ad hominem argument is when you make an argument that is irrelevant because you are attacking a characteristic.
It's not irrelevant. When you go from the 500th ranked male to the number 1 ranked woman, that's not irrelevant, bud. I don't know. I don't know why you can't get that. Like
let's imagine that I am,
but you can't even understand this.
Let's imagine that I am completely insane. Okay, really quickly. You probably won't have a hard time thinking about that from your perspective. Let's imagine that I think that the sky is made of lemonade. But I come here and I cite the fact, for instance, that all life begins as female, and that, am I wrong when I cite the fact that all life begins as female because I think the sky is made of lemonade? No, I'm not. That would be an ad hominem argument.
You're comparing lemonade. I'm comparing stats of male ranked versus female ranked, and you're comparing lemonade and biology. We are not the same, Brenton. I'm winning this argument very easily. No, I understand what ad hominem is, but I'm talking about stuff that's pertinent to this. You don't understand. You're talking about lemonade, and I'm talking about things that are germane to this debate. You and I are not the same, bud.
Oh, see, that's an ad hominem argument right there. Jesus Christ, dude. Like, read a book.
I've never read a book. You're right. I don't know how to read. I've never read a book. That's not an ad hominem attack.
You are generally an incurious person. However, that right there is not an ad hominem argument. That is an insult.
You think I'm incurious? You think I'm incurious? Well, that's fine. You can think that. I think you're an idiot.
It seems to you, and you don't think about it very closely.
That's not true. That's not true. I know there's intersex people. I know that there's an application where there might be people that have to have puberty blockers or gender reassignment surgery at a very young age. And for me, I think that is unfortunate that they would not be able to compete against people in sport. But at the same time, I think the sports are bigger than people. You don't think the same. Sports are huge to our culture. So for me to have women that competed their whole lives and listen, you keep on yelling ad hominem. These women spent their whole lives in the NCAA championship. You look at the female swimmer that spoke out against it, who was 17th, who didn't get to swim in the top 16 in the final place of the NCAA championship.
You will notice something. Upset. She's 17. 17. Is she going to get a chance to compete next year and the year after? And
she might not. What if she gets in a car accident and dies? What happens? What if she fails out of school?
You can't use that as a reason.
What do you mean? Who gives a crap? You only have one life.
You have no idea because she hasn't worked so long.
Brent, You can't tell the future. Anything could happen. She could get in a car accident and lose the ability to swim, and she never got to compete because
no one
Leah
makes
Thomas
decisions about sports rankings and sports leagues based upon whether or not someone might get in a car accident. That's
what I'm saying
irrelevant.
is you're trying to say next year she's just going to be right in the competition. Next year is not guaranteed. Anything can happen. That's how life works.
No,
so what your argument is not smart.
I am saying that she is 17. She will have other opportunities, and also, and
she might not have other opportunities. Anything could happen. There is no guarantee in
that
life.
Doesn't matter
anything.
For the league.
So
if she walks outside and gets hit by a meteorite, that doesn't matter because we're talking about rules.
It would matter. It would matter because her one chance to compete in that competition, the one time, not the future time, the one time that was right in front of her face, got taken away from her by somebody that swam on the boys' team for 3 years. That's why it does matter.
Okay, this is a fallacious appeal to sympathy. I don't give a fuck. I do not give a fuck at all what you think or how sympathetic you are to one random person. That does not change the rules. It does not change biological facts. That does not change.
You don't understand biological facts. You think a man with a penis can have a baby.
Argument.
But you just said the same thing. You think a man with a penis can have a baby, Brenton. So listen where you're coming from.
You guys look this up. Seriously, just put it into Google. There was a 45-year-old man
didn't have a baby, Brenton. He did not have a baby.
He went into freaking menopause. He had
That's not the same as having a baby, bud.
Okay, one of those things have anything to do with being a woman.
Oh my gosh. The fact that you can't admit that a woman has a vagina and has ovaries and can have a baby and that a man has a penis and
a vagina. I admit that. A woman has ovaries. I admit that.
Okay, does Leah Thomas have a vagina? Does Leah Thomas have a vagina?
Not what womanhood is.
Does Leah Thomas have a vagina?
I don't fucking know.
The answer is no. The answer is no. So he's not a woman, according to you, Brenton.
That means you care about that.
No, I'm using it because you don't understand the argument. I don't care about their genitals, but you can't even admit that. So you're not based in reality.
You don't care.
Because it shows they have a physical advantage because they don't have the same body or tools as a woman. We are different.
Okay,
you don't understand that a man and a woman are not the same thing, Brenton.
Physical advantage in a swimming competition.
No, but it's different because a man is bigger. A man has longer limbs. A man has a more muscle mass than a woman. So if a person born with a penis,
longer limbs and better musculature, competes against a woman who's smaller with worse musculature.
Overwhelmingly, men have an advantage over women. That's a simple thing.
In general, yes, but when we're dealing with elite athletes, it gets a lot smaller. Now, again,
not every sport is versus elite athletes. That's the problem. Is this is going to go down to the high school level, then it's going to go down to the middle school level, then it's going to go down to the elementary level. So you're not even based in reality, bud.
Okay, so that is a slippery slope logical fallacy. And second of all, it wouldn't even matter because that is also a fallacious appeal to consequence.
Okay.
The issue here is not what will happen as a result of this with regard to our leagues. The issue is she owed an equal chance to compete? And yes, she is. By the rules, she's owed an equal chance to compete. By the science, she's owed an equal chance to compete. This is happening, and there's absolutely nothing you or anyone else who's salty about it can do to stop it.
I'm not salty about it. I just think it's unfair. That's why I'm talking about it. I'm not salty about it.
Okay.
I think Leah Thomas is good for swimming because now more people are talking about college swimming. So Leah Thomas for the sport overall is good because less people were even talking about college swimming. So for those other swimmers, they got a little bit of shine because of Leah Thomas. So for the sport attention, I think it's good. For the fairness of the competition, it's terrible. So for me, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's unfair.
Okay, so if you think it's unfair, and you may think it's unfair, that's fine. You're not the one making that decision. The people making that decision are the NCAA and the Olympics. So are you telling me that right now that you, who don't know anything about swimming, has never swam in his life, can come in here and say that you think it's unfair and everything should change?
Yes, I think everything should not. I think biological boys should get to compete against biological women. Yes.
All right.
Call me crazy.
You are smarter and better read and better able to understand this than the entire International Olympic Committee.
The International Olympic Committee you're talking about the Federation of the IOC.
Answer the question.
You're talking
Do you think you're better than the IOC?
Of course, I think I'm more based in reality than them by them allowing these women to lose. Yeah, I do think I'm smarter than them.
And you think you're better than the NCAA?
I don't think I'm better than that. I think I'm more based in reality than they are because they don't care about it. What they're trying to do is they're trying to virtue signal.
And you want
I think I'm not the only one that thinks this. What
You want to
the thing
ignore
is,
people
these
who have
these
done this
colleges,
their entire lives.
these
You want
colleges
to ignore
are trying
people
to
that care about
virtue
this
signal. No,
1,000
no.
times
They're
more than you ever
Guys,
could
nobody
imagine.
can understand you
Let me
guys.
just say
You're talking
something.
over
They're
each other.
trying to capitulate and change the entire sports, the entire fairness of the sports, to capitulate to less than 0.008%. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I think it's unfair.
0.08%. Again, 1%.
It's less than 1%. It's less than 1%. Not
Less
one
than
out of every
1%
100 people is
classified
transgender,
as
dude.
hermaphrodites, but 1% of all humans in the world, that is 1% of 7 billion, have one disorder or another of sexual biology. That is a fact. That is a group that is larger than the entire U.S. military. It is larger than the entire Chinese military. And you want to say that this is some sort of fringe case? No, it's not. By the numbers, this is a very, very significant group. 1 in 100.
That's not the number, dude.
Yes, it is, dude.
That's not the number. That's not how many people are transgender.
Again.
It's not.
Yeah. Again,
I don't know.
It's not how many people are transgendered, but it's how many people are born in some form of intersex condition. And a large number of those cannot be classified as male or female based upon physical description alone, nor can they be classified based upon their chromosomes, because again, there are XX men and there are XX women. Now, there was one other thing that I did want to ask you about here, because this is an important situation. So Caster Semenya is a runner. She is, as you would put it, a biological woman. She was assigned woman at birth, but she has a disorder that causes more testosterone to course through her veins. And as a result, she goes in and she beats all the other women. Now, are you going to tell me, because she was born and assigned as a woman and presumably can have a baby, that the International Olympic Committee was, for instance,
Caster can't have a baby. She can't have a baby. Caster can't have a baby. So why would you?
How do you know?
Because we know. Because they've checked her testosterone level. She's not able to produce a baby. Okay.
Okay.
Come
on.
So I don't even care about the rest of your
argument.
argument.
The testosterone level doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with producing a baby.
I'm just saying, Caster Semenya, who's born intersex, does not have the ability to have a baby.
Yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah. So again, 1% of the population are born intersex, but you just said that not.
Well, that's a perfect example. Okay, let's even say it's 1%. I don't think we should change the rules.
Yeah.
No, this is the question. I don't think we should change the rules for the other 99% shouldn't have to suffer for the 1%. That's what I think, Brent.
Ironic, but I don't believe you actually mean that.
I mean that 100%. Yeah. I don't think the 99% of athletes
where were you during
should have
Occupy
to
Wall
capitulate.
Street?
I was a young kid during Occupy Wall Street. I wasn't worried about Occupy Wall Street. I was like a little kid, basically.
You just accidentally quoted an Occupy slogan. And I have a feeling that probably if you were this age during Occupy Wall Street, you would be taking the side of the police. You would be taking the side of the people on Wall Street.
You think I like big business? I hate multinational corporations. I hate that we bailed out the banks. See, that's some sort of ad hominem
we can agree
attack.
On that.
I'm just telling you, dude, we shouldn't have to change the rules for the 99%, shouldn't have to suffer for the 1%. Call me crazy, but that's what I believe.
So should is a very dangerous word. There are lots of things that should happen in many people's estimation, but that's not how reality works. Now, if we're going to talk about like the decision made by the IOC and the decision made by the NCAA and the decision made by all of these leagues, by people who have spent their careers interested in sports, who have spent their careers making sure that they have the best competition possible and have come to the conclusion, they have all come to the conclusion that this is fair enough and it is within the bounds of regular activity. If you want to overturn that based upon your personal opinion, your uneducated opinion, you are free to say that.
Where do you have a college degree from, Brenton, real quick? Where did you graduate from college?
University of Kentucky.
Well, I graduated from LSU, so I have a degree, so don't call me uneducated. And
I didn't say you were uneducated.
You just said uneducated. You just said I was
uneducated opinion on this topic. Because
first of all, I'm very familiar with this topic, and see, I'm based in reality, and you're based in Looney Tune land, so that's the difference.
And I could be completely.
Why don't we? Okay, listen. You don't even admit that a guy. You don't even admit that there's a difference between a man and a woman. So you're not based
between a man and a woman.
Well, then, does a man have a competitive advantage against a woman physically in sports?
Oftentimes, but not always.
Okay, so most of the time. So do you think it's fair for somebody to get to just reassign their sex, but still have all the male genitalia and accoutrement of being a male?
Yes, absolutely. Because if they go, they're not just saying like, I'm a woman, I'm going to go compete with the other women. They're going through like hormonal therapy that will change their body for the rest of their lives.
Does it make you smaller? Does it make you shorter?
Yes.
No, you're still. Oh, you tell me it'll make you shorter.
Smaller. It doesn't.
Yeah, but
make
it doesn't make you shorter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So it doesn't change you. So you still have the advantage. So
no.
Okay.
Again, certain sports have advantages based on height or weight or whatever. A good example might be volleyball.
And Brent, I want to say this. I hope you're right, because I hope there's a bunch of transgendered women that join the WNBA. I can't wait for that day, because then maybe I'll start watching it. That's what I hope. I hope you're 100% right. I don't think
you have ever paid any attention to the WNBA, and you're just saying.
Are you kidding? I love the LA Sparks. I love I'm not even conservative. I love the LA Sparks. I watch a lot of LA Sparks games. Lisa Leslie is my favorite female basketball player. I'd like to see you name one female basketball player.
I mean, I'm not into basketball, and I
name one female basketball player. Name one female WNBA. Diana Taurasi. You don't even know any. So you're telling me I don't know. You don't even know any female athletes. Yeah, no. What I'm saying, yeah, it is, because we're talking about trans athletes in sports. Yeah, it's sports. Yeah, it is. It's about sports. It is about basketball. It's germane to it.
What is wrong with your face?
All right, let's stop talking over each other, guys.
Germane to it. You don't even know what sports is. Do you know that basketball is a sport, bud? Did you know that? Did you know that athletes play basketball?
I know that basketball is a sport. Gee, I don't know. I just am not.
See, that shows you how smart you are. You're so smart. You don't even know basketball is a sport. Okay, I gotta use the restroom. Let's just go to the super chats, because this guy he doesn't even know basketball is a sport.
Dude, you are so butthurt. There you go. Triggered. Triggered snowflake. All right, we need to go to the thing, because he's having a little hissy fit over there.
Are you ready to go super chats, Brenton?
Yeah, its face turned red and like kind of twisted into an evil mask. So I think I've very well won this debate. Let's go to the super chats.
Well, let's wait till he gets back, if he's coming back. I hope he is.
Oh my God, like it's possessed by a freaking demon on there.
We do have quite a few. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, by the way. Want to thank all of our moderators in the chat for keeping the discussion civil. I know you've had a lot of work to do tonight. So thank all of you for working so tirelessly. I do hope Alex is coming back, but
so do I. I will say, by the way, when he watches this afterwards, I was pretty brutal towards the end there, but I do actually like him, and I think that what he did messing with the I'm an anarchist, and when you're messing with politicians, I'm usually very happy about it. But anyway, let's continue.
Well, I mean, I don't know where to go without Alex gets back here.
Are the questions for Alex?
Well, I mean, let's see.
This is honestly, this debate, the trans athletes debate, triggers so many people. Like, this is the debate that Sargon got mad and ran off to like find a book about Hitler like towards the end.
Well, here's a question for you that I guess you can answer while he's out.
Sure.
Why can't they compete in men's sports? This is a question from The World's Gone Mad for 279 from Canadian. I believe this is for you, Brenton. Says, why can't they compete in men's sports?
I assume what you mean is trans people. So trans people do compete in men's sports. Trans men compete in men's sports. And it's actually really awful when they are forced to compete against women. So this is, for instance, a person who's assigned a woman at birth and is transitioning to go to become a male. Or to become, to become a man. And like, I think it was Max somebody, a wrestler. She was a trans man, and people who thought like Alex thinks were like, no, you are a woman. You must compete against the women's. And she went in and she was crushing them. And obviously that's unfair. Again, like, situations. So that's one thing. But to the second part of that question, why can't trans women compete with men? Well, one, they can if they want to. The men's league is, if a woman wants to compete in the men's league, most people will allow that. So they can if they want to, usually, not always. However, it's not a very exciting matchup, because again, when you start undergoing HRT, and when you've been under it for the past, I would say 2 years is what the Olympic Committee said it as, you lose strength. You gain weight, you lose power, your blood, your literal blood loses the ability to move oxygen about your body. So yeah, they could go in and they could, compete against men, but they just lose. So I think what's best to have happen here is we create the most exciting competition for everyone. We let everyone compete in a way that honors them and honors the sport.
All right, thank you so much. We do have quite a few, so let's keep them short and pithy, guys. Anomic for $4.99 says, I have a study that shows that university studies that don't support LGBT would not be allowed to be published.
You don't have that study. You're just lying. Shut the fuck up and go away.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. The Crawdaddy 029s for $5 says, it's so weird that trans and their quote unquote allies knows the difference between gender and sex, but regularly confuses the difference between gender and sex.
What? I guess he's meaning that like I made a couple of mistakes, like because I'm used to talking in a certain way.
You made a lot of mistakes, but one thing, the biggest mistake you made is you said sex is just a social construct when we know
I
that
said
is
gender is a social construct.
Okay. So you're telling me how is a person with a penis, how is that a social construct?
So having a penis is not a social construct. However, when somebody
dude.
What argument did you think you were having this entire time?
What I'm
Gender
saying
is a
is
social construct.
What I'm saying is if you have a penis, you are not a woman. You are a trans woman. You're not an actual biological woman. So there is a difference.
There is no such thing as a biological woman or a biological male.
That's not true. Yeah. See, that's not true.
There is a biological male and there is a biological female. These function as limits.
There you go. So they're not the same. They're not the same.
I never said they were the same. Again.
But then they shouldn't be able to compete in the same sport then if they're different.
You don't have to be the same to compete in the same sport.
Like, what do you mean you don't have to be the same to compete in the same sport?
You don't have to be the same to compete in the same sport. Everyone is different.
So it's not by grades. So you're telling me there's not like a grade level. You're telling me in sports there's not requirements of being similar or the same to compete. That's what you're saying. It's just a free for all.
No,
a 26-year-old can play in the high school leagues. Is that what you're saying?
What I am saying is,
do you think 26-year-olds should be able to play high school basketball?
No.
Okay, so you do think there are some rules and fairness. So you don't think 26-year-olds should be able to play in high school basketball, but you do think biological males should be able to compete against the women.
So
right?
Here's the thing: is a 6 foot biological male allowed to compete against a 5 foot biological male in the same grade? In like high school basketball, say.
Yes, they are.
Okay, gentlemen, we're never going to get through all these questions. So
they're not that different. They're not that different. The only thing that's different is their height. Yet their anatomy, everything else is the same.
Very different. One of them could be missing a leg.
Okay,
let's keep going.
Oh, that's why they're playing basketball. Brenton, you don't even know that basketball's a sport, bud. I mean, come on.
Wait, let's move on, gentlemen.
You said how is basketball how does basketball have to do with the trans athlete debate? That just shows you where you're at.
No, I didn't say that. Okay,
gentlemen, let's move on.
Clear, and this is weird that you keep getting
$5 from Sphincter of Doom says the consensus is regarding the quality of life treatment. That does not answer what is or isn't a woman.
Well, yes, because that's a philosophical question. We can't answer that. Famously, no one can answer that. I actually, Plato, great example. Plato was talking to the Lyceum.
First of all, the Greeks knew the difference between a boy and a girl. Go ahead.
Oh, good Lord. So Plato put forth his definition of a man to everyone in the Lyceum. He said it is a bipedal, 2-legged, featherless animal. And the far superior philosopher, Diogenes, came in with a plucked chicken and put it up and said, hey, look, here's Plato's man. And Plato, having been totally owned by a master troll, took the L and amended his definition to include broad fingernails. You will notice that Plato's second definition of a man includes gorillas and many other species of great ape. So the fact of the matter is it may seem very easy to define something based upon common sense, but when you go and cut down into these concepts, you will find it is actually incredibly difficult to ever define anything. That's just
it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to define a male and a female. I mean, it's really not.
It is that difficult.
Because you love science. You can't. Well, real quick, Ketanji Brown Jackson, you're happy that she's in the Supreme Court. She even admits that you have to be a biologist.
No. Come on, we must. Come on.
Here's my opinion of the Supreme Court.
She says that you have to be a biologist to be able to know. Well, the biology of a male and a female.
She's not a philosopher. She's actually wrong about
so
that.
A philosopher knows more than a biologist. Okay.
About the concept of gender, yes. philosophers that tends to be there.
You won't even admit that there's a difference between a boy with a penis and a girl with a vagina. So
hey, there's a difference between
you're
a boy
so
with a penis and a girl
you're
with
so
a vagina.
philosophical. Okay,
Gentlemen.
well, you admit that they have that a male has a physical advantage in
Christ.
sports. So when they play
Oftentimes,
sports,
yes, but not always.
we're
just going in
them,
circles here. Can we
them
get on
being
to the
able
next
to
question?
transition would give them an advantage and make the sports unfair.
Okay. Sphincter of Doom for $5. People with oh crap. What is CAIS? Somebody tell me quickly.
CAIS?
CAIS.
I'm not sure actually. I'm not familiar with that term.
Oh crap. Come on. Somebody tell me in the chat. Come on.
While you're looking for that.
Okay.
Mhm.
People with CIS are overrepresented among high tier athletes, meaning not having any T still gives you an advantage.
Okay, I need to again, like, that doesn't make any sense, because even if people with a specific disorder are like highly represented for one reason or another, that's not necessarily because they have an advantage. Correlation is not causation. So we would need to I need to know what the
complete
hell
androgen insensitivity syndrome.
Oh yeah, and so that's don't. Honestly, I can't speak to that.
Thank you,
I'm just
El.
gonna say, like, it doesn't apply to what we're talking about anyway.
Yeah, it does apply, but every question is going to be probably for you because you're just so incorrect.
Ad hominem.
Well, dude, hey, the audience will decide that you lost. I mean, it's very simple.
Who gives a shit? That's a bandwagon fallacy. I don't give
just the fact that you got spanked in this debate and you got humiliated and you look kind of like an imbecile. I guess.
Oh my god. So let's talk about.
All right. Yeah. No. All right. Sphincter of Doom for $5. You can have an unfair advantage even if you don't dominate. Steroids disqualify you whether you get first place or last place.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything at all to do with whether you win or not. The reason that steroids disqualify you is they don't want to create the precedent that you need to take steroids to win in a game, because it's very, very difficult to like remain healthy if you're taking a lot of steroids. And so we would essentially have a bunch of athletes dying early. And this is the case because the freaking WWE had that whole issue with doping. Was the problem with WWE that the actual physical competition was all faked? But the fact of the matter is that they needed to get super big so that they could do that. And what wound up happening was a lot of them started dying. So that's why we don't allow people to dope. It's not about fairness. It is about making sure that our athletes stay alive.
I have a question. What do you think gender dysphoria is? Do you think gender dysphoria exists, Brenton?
Yeah, it obviously exists. It's a psychological condition where you don't identify with the gender that your body appears to be and that society tells you.
Okay, so can you have racial dysphoria?
You could, but that doesn't make any sense, because there are actual physical differences between, like, for instance, male and female brains, and trans people. Like, they've done brain scans and they found that their brain is more similar to a female brain than a male brain. If it's a trans woman, or if it's a trans man, they find that the woman who was born a woman at birth, her brain is more similar to my brain or your brain. So there is no such thing as like a black brain or a Chinese brain. That we're all.
I don't know if that's true.
Right,
I mean,
that is definitely.
We must move on. And I do.
Well, what about age?
In the chat.
Can you be age dysphoria? Can I choose my age?
I mean, you could have any sort of disorder. I just don't see what that has to do with anything.
We must move on.
The reason why, let me make this point. The reason why is because if you do have gender dysphoria, that shouldn't just allow you to all of a sudden, because you think you are something, get to compete against people that you are not the same as.
So,
that's why that's important.
Alex, I want to ask you something.
Please go ahead.
The criteria that the IOC gives out, does it say anywhere in the criteria that the IOC gives out and that the NCAA give out that the people who compete have to have gender dysphoria?
No, but the gender dysphoria gives people an advantage. It does have something to do, because it's a mental health issue. You don't understand it's a mental health issue.
I have a lot of super chats that are already in, so I do want to remind everybody that if you're sending super chats in at this moment, that there's a chance that we might not get to them. So I do want to remind everybody of that. So we're going to go ahead and move on now. Sphincter of Doom for $5. We already said that one. And Economic for $4.99. I think this subject is our generation's The Emperor's New Clothes. Everyone knows that men aren't women, but they pretend so they fit in.
Yeah, dude, you're just projecting your own ideas onto everyone else. I would say again, don't be so egotistical. You don't know what other people are thinking, and also, the things that you think are real and grounded in reality, most of them don't even exist.
Well, let me ask this, Brenton. If you're at a bar and you see a pretty lady and you give her a kiss, and then you find out she was born a boy, would you not be upset?
Yes, I would not be upset because I'm bisexual.
Okay. I would be upset. I would be upset that
Yes,
somebody
because you're transphobic.
because I'm no, I'm not transphobic because I'm a heterosexual. Because I would think that if I was kissing a girl, I'd be kissing a girl.
Okay,
That doesn't make me a
let me-
bigot. It doesn't make me a phobia. That
Hang on,
makes me based in
I did not
reality that I thought I was
say you were a
kissing a
bigot.
girl. I should be kissing a girl.
So
I'm not
I
a
did not say it
bisexual
made
like
you a
you.
bigot. But here's the thing: if you go into a bar and you see a pretty lady and you are attracted to her, and you go up and you kiss her, and then afterwards she says, "Oh, I was assigned male at birth," and
It would be a
I'm
Jerry
a
Springer
trans
episode,
woman.
and we'd be throwing bows. We'd be in the parking lot throwing
Yes,
bows, Jerry Springer
Yes, because
style.
you're all idiots. Like,
Oh,
the
I'm
fact
a
of the
real
matter is,
idiot. I'm a real idiot because I just kissed
on
the boy.
this
That
topic,
tricked
yes,
me.
you are.
No, see,
'Cause
you
the
don't
thing-
even understand how that is bad. That just shows you how based in reality you are.
Okay, again, ad hominem.
So
nobody cares.
a trans person shouldn't have to say their biological sex to somebody.
I mean, I would say that if you are engaging in an intimate relationship, it's important for your partners to know things about you like that. For instance, like, if you're trans and you are infertile, you should probably tell your partner before you get married if you know your partner wants to have kids. That's
I'm happy.
perfectly
I'm happy
reasonable.
you're based in that. You understand trans people are infertile. Thank you. We can go ahead.
Okay,
Oh,
let's move on.
God.
$10 from Sphincter of Doom. The testosterone level guidelines are above the female range and creep into the male range, which if
Yes.
that isn't an advantage, then low T I'm sorry. Which if that isn't an advantage, then low T males should get compete. Yeah, that's what he said. Should get compete against women with no advantage. So should get to compete.
Yeah. Okay. So if there is a male who has low enough testosterone that he drops into the range for women, yeah, fine. I don't give a shit. Let him compete with women. Now, the other thing here,
wow, that's
now
sad.
the other thing here is that the problem that he's having there, because he's saying that it's like higher T, that's because, again, we're dealing with athletes. Like, elite athletes are different from the rest of the population. So an elite female athlete will oftentimes have much higher testosterone than your average woman. So that's it. It sounds like you've got a point there, but you don't really have a point.
He has a point. Go ahead.
Okay, let's move on.
If you say so,
Economic
dude.
for 199. End sex/gender divisions just have human sports.
I actually am not entirely against that. I think that certain sports, it makes kind of sense, but I think weight classes are more important. Combat sports like martial arts, usually I think it's probably a good idea to to sex segregate if we're going to do that. And it's probably a good idea just because there is a large advantage. But for instance, like shooting competitions or chess, I think, there's no reason to have those gender segregated. In fact, this is really interesting. In baseball, a woman by the name of Jackie Mitchell. This is really famous because she was playing for the Washington Senators. And it was during the Great Depression, and everybody was like, let's get a girl to play just so people will come out and watch. Well, what wound up happening was that she wound up pitching against two of the greatest baseball players of all time, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig. She struck them both out. Now, Babe Ruth, he's a big swinger. He gets struck out quite a bit. But Lou Gehrig, no. He went after Babe Ruth. So after he saw this 17-year-old girl strike out one of the best baseball players of all time, then he went in and did his best to hit that ball, and he couldn't hit it, and she won. Shortly after that, a number of teams started to recruit female pitchers. And then suddenly everybody had a problem with it, and they passed rules saying, no, you can't allow them to compete with men. Only men can compete. And again, that doesn't even make any sense because, as we've established here, men usually have a biological advantage in certain sports. So, like, why did they then go and force her to only compete with women? It's because people freak the fuck out when things that they think are set in stone and real are actually challenged. It causes cognitive dissonance. They lose their minds. And, people in the media who are looking for clicks and politicians who are looking for angry people who will do whatever they want will take advantage of these people who are like just losing their shit over.
Let's move on.
Brenton, they're mad because you want to change the whole entire sport to for the 99% should have to be suffer for 1% of the people. That's why.
Have I advocated at any point in this debate to change any rules in sports at all?
No, but we're talking about the fairness of
So
trans athletes in the sport.
Anomic for $1.99. Females are a social construct, fake like the globe.
Yes. I mean, the globe isn't fake,
Okay.
but yes. So here's how this works.
Let's get another one. Crawdaddy029, $5. Brenton, which side should non-binary join if only gender matters and not sex? We can fix this by banning anyone who uses drugs in professional sports.
Okay, so here's the thing. We do have things banned by people using drugs. However, in sports, what's very important is that there are rules specifically for people who are disabled or have different bodies can do things that would normally be considered like doping to bring themselves up to the average level. For instance, I think there was a famous runner who had fake legs. And as a result of having fake legs, he was lighter and could run faster. And people said, well, this isn't fair. Should we kick him out? But the fact of the matter was that they looked at it and they were like, well, he does have an advantage because he doesn't have legs, but also it's within the the acceptable spectrum. So yes, he can compete with his legs, even though they are technically an unfair advantage. So if someone's doing HRT, for instance, that's not the same thing as doping.
Okay, so here was the 2 for 1. Here's $1.99 from Daily Breakfast. Here's $1.99 for Brendan to do some research, and then One Man Army.
I'm the only one who did any research for this.
Brendan, you're getting crushed by these questions.
Okay,
I should just give you a big clue.
One Man Army 2 for
I have
Electric
zero
Boogaloo, $2.
respect for the peanut gallery around here. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Continue.
that just shows you you're not based in reality. I mean, that's
no, it shows that I'm way smarter than all these idiots.
You really believe that, Brent? You really think you're smarter than everybody here? Wow.
I mean,
wow.
I'm
not
definitely
surprised.
smarter than you, and I am probably smarter than most of the people commenting $1 in there because, again, these people are barely literate. Continue, please, Kaz.
Yes, let's just get these out of here. One Man Army 2, Electric Boogaloo, $2. If anyone's triggered, it's you, Brenton. Daver, $5.
Did my face twist into a red mask and did I run away for like 5 minutes? No.
I went to take a leak. What are you talking about? I'm not running away. I'm not.
Dude, you jumped up and ran away because you were triggered. It's all right.
No, are you kidding? I went to take a leak. I'm not triggered at all. Brenton, you took the biggest L of your life tonight, dude. You got
I don't think either of you were triggered.
Right.
I don't think either of you were triggered. I don't think anybody was triggered.
I'm not based in reality. You're the one that doesn't even know the difference between a boy and a girl. You actually think boys can have babies. You're the one that's not based in reality, bud.
Here, look. I'm
Again,
triggered.
guys, look this up.
No boy has ever had a baby in the history of mankind. That is not real. I don't care how many times you Google. I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact.
Gentlemen, Daver for $5. Is the Kentucky Derby wrong for not allowing me to compete in the horse race when I identify as a thoroughbred racehorse?
Okay. So is the Kentucky Derby wrong for that? No, but again, this is not about identification. At no point has any sports league said, if you identify this way, you can compete that. Not at the higher levels like the NCAA and the IOC, like in the Olympics. They're not going to do that. It is based upon your hormones. So again, if you go through some surgical procedure in 200 years to turn yourself into a horse, maybe you can compete then. But at this point, no, that doesn't make any sense.
All right. Thank you so much from Kwani Upstate for $5 says separating sexes in sports is about the most fair rule to ensure the most competition, not about picking specific cases to change the whole rule with.
No one's picking specific cases to change the whole rule with. Again, these rules have been changed since like 2006. So please.
$5 from Sphincter of Doom for people love Michael Phelps, but that might change if they competed against women.
If Michael Phelps but no one's saying Michael Phelps should compete against women. So what the hell are you talking about?
Lady Grimm 412 for $5. Brenton, how is this fair to women? Trans women have an undeniable biological advantage. Drugs cannot reset a human. Do women's rights not matter here?
So, one, drugs do matter and can reset a human in a number of ways. A woman has a right to fair competition as much as anyone else, as much as a trans woman. And while we are segregating these leagues based upon gender, I'm perfectly fine with having trans women compete with women, so long as they fall within the acceptable range set by the IOC and the NCAA. Like, again, it's your idea that women can't win right here. That is you putting women down. It's you putting yourself down. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this debate, because it is really, really important to me that people not do exactly what you're doing, that people not be bad sports like that 17-year-old swimmer who complained. Because I'll tell you what, if she was one of my swimmers, I would have come down on her like the hammer of God after that. If you go up to somebody and you say, oh, this swimmer is taller than me, or this swimmer is faster than me, I just can't win, you are throwing yourself under the bus, and you are throwing sports in general under the bus. And you should, by all rights, be corrected.
Okay, $10 from Sphincter of Doom. Both parties here don't understand sex. 1% are not intersex. It's closer to 0.01%.
That's a lie.
The 1% figure is based on slightly different qualities associated with the outward sex, not actual intersex.
Okay, so right there, sex is based upon the outward criteria. Do you think that people, before they knew about chromosomes, before they knew, like, sat there and said, okay, this is an XX, this is a woman, and this is an XY, this is a man? No, we created gender and we created sexual categories specifically because they have utility to us, utility to our science, utility to our society, but they are not real. These are mental projections based upon the world itself. And I really wanted to get into it about this. So, like, okay, male and female exist on a spectrum. They are ideals. There is no 100% male and no 100% female in all of reality. Rather, as I said, it's like mathematical limits. The line continuously approaches the line in the graph, but they never actually touch. So as we talk about these kinds of things, sex, gender, race, these are not real. These are mental projections. They are tools that humans create to navigate the world around them. They're very useful, but they just don't always work. And we need to be cognizant of that, because humans are the rational animal, and we're able to overcome these problems and begin to get a better idea as to what actual reality is like as a result of that.
$2 from Tiny Batman. If sex did not exist, would gender exist?
If sex did not, it might. I mean, again, like, humanity has specific ideas about how people should behave based upon certain criteria. If you are born as, and people say you're a man, even before you can make memories, usually relatives are dropping toys on you that are associated with boys or girls or whatever. Society has certain expectations for men and certain expectations for women. And they fit a large percentage of us, but not everybody. So, I mean, we should make accommodations where we can.
All right, $10 from Sphincter of Doom. Men do not start female. The fetus starts out undifferentiated and either differentiate to male or female.
No,
it
that's
just
not
differentiates to female in the absence of the SRY gene.
Yeah, no, this is completely false. Continue.
Sphincter of Doom for $10. Sex is not a spectrum. Sex is the reproductive condition of an organism, and in humans, that's based on gametes you produce. Humans produce only one of two gametes determined by the SRY presence or lack thereof.
Okay, so again, sex is a spectrum, because gametes are not the only thing. You can never boil down what sex is to like one or two variables. And even if you could do that, the fact of the matter is that like, the fact that you can choose that you're going to base this on gametes or you're going to base this on chromosomes proves that this whole thing is subjective. It is based on objective criteria. And what I will compare this to is murder. You can say someone has been murdered objectively because we have laws that define what murder is. But what those laws are is subjective. And that's why like the definition of murder will vary from state to state and country to country and culture to culture. So there are a lot of things that we think are real that just simply aren't. A killing is real. Murder is an opinion.
Gotcha. Thank you so much, Tiny Batman. Why do we refer to female dogs as she?
I think they're just trying to like get somebody to say.
All right. $5 from Sphincter of Doom. Neither of the parties are well versed in biology.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a biologist, and neither is Alex. I'm literally just a coach and an athlete who cares about this and has done a lot of research.
Okay.
Yeah, but you want to capitulate and screw over the 99% for less than 1% of the population. So you don't care about fairness. You don't care about sports.
Yeah.
Well, then why should we change the rules for less than 1%?
I did not say that we should change the rules. The rules have already been changed. They were changed almost 20 years ago.
Okay. One Man Army 2 Electric Boogaloo for $5 says Brenton doesn't get the fact that once the Y chromosome enters the egg, that's it. You're going to be a boy, but the parts are going to develop later.
Yeah, that's not true. Again, there are XY women and XX men. We know that for a fact.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. We made it to the ones that I promised that we would get to, so we are making good time. Longhorn Legend for $10. Question for Brenton. A woman's fertility is irrelevant because, in principle, a woman can birth a child and a man cannot. This debate is no.
Again, we don't base womanhood on birthing a child. Because if we did, then women who were born infertile would not be women, and women who, no longer have the ability to birth a child would not be women. And they both are very obviously women. So, in fact, this was a question I wanted to ask for Alex, and I feel like this hasn't been fair because a lot of the questions have been coming at me, and Alex should get
because the reason why they're all coming from you because you're so wrong, Brenton. That's why. Because you're not.
The reason why.
Yes, dude. Yes, that's why. Because you're insane. It's not the community. Modern day debate chat does not like me, dude. Honestly, God, dude, look at any other debate. Dude, they don't even like because I debate stuff. So no, it's not because I'm well liked. It's because you're so wrong. But that's why they're all the questions for you.
The modern
they're
day
not.
debate,
Yeah, they're reacting in the way they should be because you're not based in reality, dude. You can't even admit that Leah Thomas has an advantage going from the 457th ranked man to the #1 ranked woman. You can't even admit that. So you're not based in reality, but that's why they're freaking out.
Have an advantage.
Stop sending super chats.
But it's not an advantage that's outside of the realms of healthy competition. So who cares? Continue.
They're still sending super chats. I warned them like so many times.
They're very triggered.
Oh my gosh.
Now, as I was saying, by the way, the modern day debate chat, this community came out of debates between atheists and creationists. Both of those groups are heavily on the right wing. They are both heavily politically reactionary. So anyone who takes a leftist position is usually going to get a lot of heat from the chat. And anyone who takes a right wing position like you have taken will oftentimes be treated better by the chat. That's just this community. It has nothing to do with anything.
All right. So look, we've got 47 seconds left on the clock. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more questions left on the list. It's up to you guys. You can tell me how many more questions you want to take. You can tell me how much time
they're
you
probably
want to
all for him. I don't care. I'll sit here and listen to him sound like a real smart guy the whole time.
We can end it right now.
Don't
it's
be
totally
a bad
up to you.
Man. I mean,
I'm not a bad sport. You got crushed, dude. You took the L. Like
you are not
Stop sending super chats.
I'm not basing on it. You're the one that thinks a boy can have a baby. You think a boy can have a baby, Brenton. So you're telling me I'm not based in reality, yet you literally think boys can have babies. Think about that, dude. You need to do a lot of self-reflecting. Your self-awareness is
because boys are.
Oh, there you go. So you were just arguing the whole time about how there's this one boy that went through menopause, so that means it's equal.
What you are doing is what's called a straw man.
No, I'm crushing you in a debate in 4K for the internet. No. I'm crushing you in a debate is what's happening.
So you guys want to finish these 9 questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I don't care.
Okay, let's do it. All right, but seriously, no more questions, guys. I'm not going after this. The last one is Leslie Flemings is $5 for Brenton, and that's it. I'm not gonna do any more.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. So where were we? Vertica for $2. Brenton is lying. It's 0.018% intersex.
Again, I was not saying intersex specifically. I said some intersex related condition is about 1% of the population. Continue.
Tiny Batman for $2. If my test levels go to 0, will my hands shrink?
Your hands won't shrink, but your ability to actually hit or move things will definitely shrink.
Gotcha. Daniel Roberts for $2. Brenton, can you see how this can be unfair?
Yes, I absolutely can see how it's unfair. I just don't think it's unfair in a way that we need to make rules to prevent it.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. For Stupid Whore Energy for $5. Question for Alex. Are you a pimp on a blimp?
I'm a pimp on a blimp eating steak and shrimp. You know it. The one question for me is a pimp question because Primetime 99 is a pimp eating shrimp. You wish, Brenton. You wish you had as much shrimp. You wish you had as much blimp. And you wish you had as much pimp as Primetime 99.
Okay. I mean, I've always.
At least you admit that. Okay is a yes. Okay is a form of yes.
Continue.
Gotcha. Rick James from $9.99. Let's go, Brenton. Got a fan out there.
That's funny. Fuck Joe Biden.
That's not a fan, but okay.
Stupid Whore Energy for $5. For Alex, how was a cis woman able to beat a trans woman in MMA if there is such a big advantage?
No, I think it's possible. Like and Brenton did make a point, like some women can long distance run better than men. I'm not saying that men are just totally at a loss, but overwhelmingly that is the case where men are physically superior than women. But yeah, there's a few sports, but like we look at the main sports, you look at a female golfer, they tee off from a closer range than a man. You just look at a lot of different sports, they have to make rules that are different for women than the men. There's a reason why, because we are not the same.
So 17 years ago, the IOC allowed trans women to compete with women. And in those 17 years, the trans women have not dominated any sport they've been allowed to compete in. A few of them have had wins, but it's been, a incredible minority, actually. So this just isn't happening. If it were
because it wasn't as socially as acceptable as it's becoming today. See, the fact that the media is making it so socially acceptable, it's just going to happen more. And to be honest, listen, this is the one thing I can thank Leah Thomas for, is giving more awareness to women's swimming, a sport that probably nobody even talked about. And now I'm going on shows and debating about it. You're debating about it. So overall for the sport, I could almost argue that Leah Thomas has done a lot for women's sport. But has she made it more fair? Has she made it more equitable? No.
Again, this is people who don't know anything about sports or care anything about sports, just losing their shit because they don't like trans women.
That's not true. I don't mind trans women. I don't dislike trans women. It's not because I don't like trans women that I don't think that they should be able to compete against biological females.
You believe you're cool with trans women.
I have trans women. I have gay family members. So I'm just saying, there's people in my life that have transitioned their sex that I'm fine with and I'm cool with. I don't hate anybody because of their sexual, because of their trans. That'd be insane. That's not me.
This is how bias works. People think of bias as if like you know that you're lying in your head, but you choose to lie otherwise. It is subconscious. It is unconscious. So if you have a bias against trans women, you wouldn't know it. The only way you could know it is by talking to people around you and figuring that out. And
I just said Leah Thomas is good for bringing awareness to the sport. I just don't think it's fair. That's what I'm saying. So that's not because I don't like her.
This entire
When I was talking about that, I was referencing when he swam on the male team, not when she swam on the women's team. That's the only time I've ever mentioned Leah as William. And sometimes I have.
Fair, so thank you. I did misunderstand that. So continue, Kaz.
Okay, we're on your guys' time now, so I don't care anymore. Where were we? From Kobold for $20. Brenton, is espousal of unproven progressive beliefs for the benefit of marginalized groups ethical? If trans women will never be women scientifically, but society repeating it enough times makes it real, is that ethical?
So again, scientifically, no one is a woman or a man. This is a social role.
Oh my
it is
gosh,
an institution.
dude.
Scientifically, someone can be female or male, but again, we exist on a bimodal spectrum, and everyone's like, most of it are distributed towards the right and left end, and then there's a couple of edge cases in the middle around 1% and getting smaller as you eventually approach like true intersex, or however you want to say it.
Okay, thank you so much. And we have a $1 Canadian from Matthew DeMartin with no words attached to it. So thank you, Matthew. From Leslie Flemons for $5. Brenton, what is a woman?
I'm glad you asked. So my definition of a woman is for someone to, 1, identify as a woman, and 2, be acknowledged by their community as a woman. In much the same way, for someone to be a doctor, they must identify as a doctor and be acknowledged by their community as a doctor and allowed to practice medicine.
No, they have to pass a board. They have to pass a test.
That's part of being
That's not just
acknowledged by the
recognized. That's not just being recognized. And you can be a doctor and not a
it's
medical doctor.
literally
So that's
when they
not
pass the board-
that's really apples and oranges. I'm just saying, because
No,
you
it's
can be
not.
because you can be a psychologist and be a doctor. I'm saying there's different levels of doctors. So that's
I'm
not a good
talking
example.
about a
But it's
doctor,
not.
even then.
The thing is, you're talking about social constructs get to decide stuff. That's not based in science. I think science describes it. So that's the difference between you and me. Is I believe in science and you don't.
Okay, so let me explain something. Everything that has to do with like how we interact with society and with each other is a social construct. If we were to, for instance, put scientists in charge of our country and put scientists in charge of sports, what would happen? That would still be a social construct. The social construct would still just be choosing to empower scientists.
Well, that doesn't make sense. Go ahead.
It makes sense. You just don't understand it. Continue.
No, I understand it. It just doesn't make sense.
Because
that is the last of our questions.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that will
Thank
bring us
God.
to the conclusion.
Brent, you took the biggest L I've ever seen. L's in the chat. If Brent took an L, you can come watch my chat after. You got crushed, dude. You're not based in reality.
I don't care about the opinions of ignorant people. So
Well, that's the thing is I do care about the opinion of everybody because I'm a populist. I'm not a conservative. I'm not a liberal. I actually care about what people think the majority of the time. I actually think that the majority of people do not believe it is fair for a biological male to be able to have gender dysphoria and decide what their gender is after swimming on the men's team for 3 years and compete against the women. Now, there's a very small people, the IOC,
hang on,
or some sort of real quick, some NCAA people that have done that to be more inclusive. But for me, I don't think the 99% should have to capitulate for the 1%.
So I'm going to ask you something because you claim to be a populist. If most people agreed with me, would you change your position?
Well, most people wouldn't because you're
but
so
if they
unbased
did,
on.
if they
But you're
agreed
talking
with
about
me,
a hypothetical that's not true.
Yes,
I mean,
because I'm trying to show you that you're not really a
if
populist.
frogs could fly, they wouldn't bump their ass when they jumped. I mean, you wouldn't understand that. So go ahead.
No, again, if it changed,
L. There's so many L's. It's just sad.
I
all
just
the L's.
proved you lied about being a populist. Thank you.
I didn't lie about being a populist. You don't even know. You won't even admit that boys can't have babies. You're the liar. You're the one that took the L because you can't even differentiate a simple thing as boys can't get pregnant.
This freaking weirdo.
Okay.
You don't even know about female basketball. You don't even know about female sports.
Why would I care
and see, that's the
about
thing.
female basketball?
Because it matters.
Oh,
Because a biological male would have an advantage if he had gender dysphoria competing against it. And you know what? I can't wait. Joanna Man was a great movie. I can't wait till Joanna Man becomes real. I can't wait till Shaq comes out of retirement as Shaquina and wins an NBA championship.
Indoctrinated by films like Joanna Man and Ace Ventura and
and that would indoctrinate us to be more acceptable for it, not to be less acceptable. That's how predictive programming works. But yes, it would make us more socially acceptable because we saw it in pop culture. I'm a sheep. Go ahead. Yeah, sure. You're the one that doesn't think you think boys can have babies, Brenton.
let's
no matter how many
let's wrap it up.
Say that it's not going to work.
That's what you said. You said boys can have babies. So that shows you how smart you are. You're really smart because you think boys can have babies. You think a guy with a penis can have a baby. You're so smart, Brenton. You're a genius. Boys can have babies.
You guys want to fight all night, don't you?
I'm so smart. Boys can get pregnant.
You're having it after a show, right, Brenton?
Yes, I am. So
Are you going to
on my
join him,
channel-
Alex? Are you going to continue this debate over there at his
No,
channel?
I'm not gonna join him. No, but he
Come
doesn't have
on,
any viewers
man.
on his
Get
channel.
over there,
dude,
dude.
I'm Primetime 99. I got all the channel all the time. I'm on the grind. He needs my shine. I'm here doing you a
come
favor. Primetime's capitulating to you, dog. I mean, come
So
on.
let me explain something right here. I really
You
don't.
mean
give a crap
mansplain something?
about-
Mansplain something? I don't want that. I don't here to have you mansplain.
Okay, I would assume we were both men, so it wouldn't be mansplaining.
I'm not. See, you
But-
assume my gender. Wrong. I am gender fluid. You don't even understand gender fluidity, and I am a woman right now. I'm Alexandria. So you don't even understand that.
Why would that have anything to do with anything you have said?
Because
tonight?
you assume my gender. Don't assume anything, Brenton. Do not assume stuff, okay?
Can we wrap it
Again,
up, guys?
you
Can
are
we
just
wrap it up?
repeating
Can we
things
wrap
that
it up?
you've heard from people because
No,
people-
I'm repeating
Yes,
facts.
You are a sheep.
Boys can't have babies. You don't even understand that. You don't understand
wrap
that
it
simple concept.
Yeah.
You think boys can get pregnant. You're so smart.
Obviously,
boys can have
because
babies.
boys are children, and children
Thank
can't get
you.
pregnant.
You think men with penises can have
Thank
babies.
you,
That's what
ladies
you
and
said in
gentlemen,
this
for
debate. We
joining
can play
us
it back.
on Modern
I did not
Day
say that.
Debate.
Yes, you did. You said
Our
that they're the
guests
same.
are
Yes, you
linked
did.
in
did
the
not.
description below. We
L.
really
Took the L,
appreciate
bud.
everybody
You know what?
for coming
It's
out.
honestly really weird
We
that you are
appreciate
so
the
focused
moderators
on
in the
like
chat.
social
We
rank and
appreciate
status and how many people are
everyone.
listening to you. Like,
No,
you
I
actually
don't
think that
care.
makes
I'm
your
just
life
saying.
worthwhile?
No,
you just
no,
said you did
no.
care.
Our
No,
debaters
they're
are the
watching this and
lifeblood
they
of the
agree
show.
with me. I'm just using them as an example of how you
Yes.
lost. I don't
As
care
you can
about
see-
And
that.
do you think it actually matters that they agree with you?
Oh my God.
Yes, I do think it matters. Yes, because I'm
Why?
right and you're wrong. Because you're wrong. You can't even admit. You think boys
Is
can have
reality-
babies.
Is reality created by people agreeing with it?
No, but you're not basing
But-
reality.
so
You said
just-
boys
you
can
just
have babies.
contradicted yourself.
I'm using for this example. I'm right. You said boys can have babies, Brent. That means anything else you say is coming from a person that's Looney Tunes in the brain. Your
Which
brain
is an ad hominem. You can be
Morty.
Looney Tunes in the brain and also say like
and
correct things.
well, you're
Freaking
Looney
Isaac
Tunes in the
Newton
brain,
is
and you're
Looney Tunes
also
in the brain.
wrong. So you're
Guys,
both.
I
You're
really
wrong
don't want to
and
end
you're
this
Looney
and cut you
Tunes.
guys off
Isaac
at the
Newton
mic.
actually literally believed in
Please
magic
don't make me.
and did
Can
rituals,
Isaac Newton
but
have
he
a
also
baby?
taught
Can
us
Isaac
about-
Newton have a baby, Brenton? Can Isaac Newton have a
I'm
baby?
about to.
Well, he's dead, so probably not.
When he was alive, could Isaac Newton have a baby?
I don't know.
Please
Yeah,
don't
he
make me do it.
couldn't.
Again, I'm not
Because
privy
that
to
just
his
shows you how
medical
smart you are. You think Isaac Newton can get pregnant? Oh, good one. Oh, good one. You showed me.
This is it.
Ooh.
Just how vapid you are.
Okay.
Mhm.
We're done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight on Modern Day Debates. We really appreciate everything that you guys have done with the super chats and elevating the conversation. Thank you so much to our moderators in the chat for keeping the conversation civil. Thank you to James for having this wonderful platform for us to have these conversations. I want to just say, if you like what you heard tonight from either of our debaters, their links are in the description. Please check out Brenton's upcoming graphic novel. Please check out Alex's channel. Want to say that if you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe to Modern Day Debates. And yeah, keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. And with that, we will be closing out the show. So everybody have a great night. And yeah, that's it. Have a great night.